Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed their meal this evening. I think the Clarion staff did a fine job of our meal. Almost as good as what we had at Garden City High School today. No, don't you laugh at my cooking staff at my school. We had turkey and we had the works. And it was good. Mr. Norby, I saw you in there. It was good. It was good. They did a fine job. Well, we wouldn't have the opportunity to honor our teachers without the generous support of our Crystal Apple sponsors. These are the business and community members that help us make this event a success each and every year. If you're a representative of the following sponsors, when I read the name, please stand to be recognized. Presenting sponsor, Boers Law. Technology sponsor, Cox Communications. Technology sponsor, Cox Communications. Our gold sponsors, the Clarion Inn, Black Hills Energy, Fry Eye Associates, High Plains Orthodontics, Wheatland Electric, and Wheatland Broadband. A silver sponsor, the Garden City Telegram. Our bronze sponsors, American State Bank, Golden Plains Credit Union, and Reed Cattle Company. Our crystal sponsors, Garden City Public Schools Foundation, Gibson, Mancini, Carmichael, and Nelson. And our Friend of Education donors, Shepner's Water Conditioning, and Time Out Sports Lounge. As previously mentioned, this year's presenting sponsor is Boers Law. I would now like to invite Laura Blake Boers to the podium to provide her insight on the Crystal Apple Awards and the dedication of our local teachers. Laura?
Thank you, Shelby. Good evening, and again, welcome to this year's Crystal Apple Awards. I'd like to introduce a few special guests first. We have Senator John Rawl, Representative Russ Jennings, and Representative John Wheeler. Thank you to the three of you for all that you do for us in Topeka and all that you do for our kids. Good luck in this upcoming legislative session. We know you'll need it. I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize some of the unsung heroes of the evening. Our 6 finalists did not get here on their own. They had parents who poked and prodded them while they were trying to become teachers. We have spouses, significant others, and kids who have waited for that bulletin board to get finished, the laminating machine to open up, and for the grading to be completed so they could go on to bigger and better things with their loved ones. So if you are part of the support system for one of our 6 finalists, if you could please stand to be recognized. Thank you for your contribution to the education of Finney County kids. So if you've been to previous Crystal Apple Awards, you know that I am on a long-standing quest to get Dr. Carlin to consider this as in-service time. And to let the teachers who are here have some time off. He keeps telling me no. Last year, I thought I'd hit a home run. I mean, I used data, I used acronyms that only the teachers and administrators would understand. I talked about Kansans Can and how the teachers are actually finally able to start teaching again. He still said no. So this year I thought I need to go big or go to Plan B. So this year I brought in, because I looked at the in-service requirements, so I brought in some special guests this evening. The first one, our keynote speaker, is going to be speaking for about an hour this evening with PowerPoints, data, lots of good stuff, about Kansans Can and the revamping of classrooms through the Gemini and Mercury.
War.
What? No.
No, I didn't bring PowerPoint.
You didn't bring the PowerPoint? Is it on the plane?
It is.
Is the governor at least
The governor's point. I didn't bring it.
well, is the governor at least going to read it?
The governor's not here, so.
You're not helping me with my argument with Dr. Carlin.
I know, and Steve's looking right at me right now, and I can't. I have nothing for you. You're on your own.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our Commissioner of Education, Dr. Randy Watson. I guess that bumps our second speaker up to keynote speaker. And I'm sure she's prepared because she's going to be speaking for a couple of hours this evening. It's a little known fact that every 7 years, the State Board of Education revamps the state standards. And this happens to be one of those years. So gone are the days of Common Core and Kansas College and Career Ready standards.
Laura.
What?
I forgot.
You forgot it?
I forgot it.
Okay, well you live in Dodge now, right?
Yes.
I could stretch. Can you go with me?
I have no way. I didn't come on the governor's plane.
You're not helping me with Dr. Carlin either.
I am so sorry. You're on your own.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, our State Board of Education representative, Sally Cobble. I guess that means I have to go to Plan B. Maybe I can convince 3 other school board members to add this to the negotiated agreement. I've got a couple here. Okay, I'm not going to have a meeting because that's violating of a means, but we'll talk about it. We'll get it. I'm sure. No, I'm not. But thank you, Dr. Watson and Sally, for playing along. Your commitment to our kids and education is truly appreciated. Also, in case it wasn't completely clear, Dr. Watson, as my understanding, had a very full day in Topeka and was able to convince the governor to let him borrow the plane tonight in order for him to be here. So thank you, Dr. Watson, for your commitment to our teachers. It's incredible. Thank you. Well, one thing I do want to hit on is that Dr. Watson, the State Board's vision of Kansas Can and having Kansas lead the world in education. It sounds very bold. I'm proud to know that whenever a new initiative comes out of Topeka, Finney County has already been implementing the idea or implements it so effectively that it's like we've been doing it for years. One such initiative is for schools and businesses to collaborate with one another. Finney County is again proving that it is a trendsetter in Kansas. We have banks who have branches in our elementary schools, teaching our kids fiscal and financial responsibility. We have businesses who partner with our schools to provide additional resources when either time, talent, or financial assistance is needed. But our crown jewel in the business and education collaboration is this event. To kind of explain some of this, and I know it'll go into detail a little bit further, this is entirely business driven. It is the Chamber of Commerce that puts this on. It's the public who lets us know who should be nominated. And it's a very difficult committee to get on, because no one member wants to get off. So we have 3 teams in this committee. We have a team of business leaders and members of the Chamber of Commerce who spend hours reading all of the applications. And then they get to decide who is going to be interrogated. I've been working on that. They're interviewed by an entirely different team. And then finally, from that team, it's another team that decides or goes and watches the teachers in action in their natural habitat, the classroom. And from there, we decide who will be our winners tonight. So, for the teachers who are here and the educators, as a member of the Chamber of Commerce and a member of the business community, I would like to tell you, we've got your back. We're there for you. Let us know what you need. Use us as a resource. We have talent. Hopefully we have the time and the financial resources as well. Please know that we are there for you. Please use us. As a member of the Board of Education, to the business leaders who are here tonight, thank you so much for all that you do for our teachers and our educators. The time that you have spent going into our classrooms, not just for this, but for other activities as well. Thank you very much. So, thank you. Enjoy your evening, and to our 6 finalists, good luck.
Thank you, Laura. Also joining us tonight are several distinguished guests and board members from our local school districts. From our Garden City USD 457 Board of Education members, please rise when I call your name. Laura Blake Boers, Jean Clifford, and board member-elect, Dr. Timothy Hannigan. Also representing Garden City USD 457, our Superintendent, Dr. Steve Carlin. Deputy Superintendent Heath Hogan. Assistant Superintendent Renee Scott. Leanne Roderick, Director of Elementary Education. KJ Knoll, Chief Financial Officer. And Mr. Steve Nordby, Principal of Garden City High School. I'm up for evaluation this year. He's still looking at me. We would also like to offer a special thank you to the individual schools for providing the wonderful table decorations in support of their Crystal Apple teacher finalists. It is now my honor to introduce to you our 6 finalists for tonight's Crystal Apple Awards. Please hold your applause until all are announced. And candidates, when I call your name, please stand as you're introduced. Janet Hackett from Garden City High School. Sarah Harris from Victor Ornalis Elementary School. Go ahead. Julia Morales from Buffalo Jones Elementary. Drew Sadler from Garden City High School. Sarah Shrimplin from Edith Sharman Elementary School. And Dixie Teeter from Victor Ornalis Elementary School. Thank you. This is the 22nd year of the Chamber's Crystal Awards Banquet. Over the years, we've recognized many outstanding educators from Finney County. If you were a previous Crystal Apple Award winner, please stand to be recognized. And a complete list of past winners are also in your bulletin at your table. Previous winners, would you please rise? That's a large number. I know we were commenting at my table where we were eating at this evening, and there's a lot of people here tonight, which is really neat. I think this is one of the larger ones I've been to. because I've been to 21 of the 22. Ms. Tedrow has one more than me, I think. I would now like to introduce Mr. Rick Tomachak, Chamber Vice President, who will explain the Chamber's involvement in the Crystal Apple program. Rick?
Well, good evening. Thank you all for coming. The Chamber of Commerce does a lot of great things. We help businesses, we help individuals in their businesses. We look to make their businesses more successful. It is really, really exciting to have the opportunity to be involved with this. Roy Sesson and I began this project in late February. That's when we start, but it continues to grow and to progress as we go until we come to this evening. So I'm going to ask that there are several of our judges here tonight. Was this the most difficult ever?
Yes.
Yeah. When we went through every phase, the blind read, then we'd do the interviews, and as each candidate would come in and be interviewed, I would go in and talk while Roy would talk to the next person who was to be interviewed, and it's like, oh my gosh, Rick, it is really tough. It is tougher than it's ever been. And so then we thought, well, then we were able to go from 12 outstanding teachers to 6. And then Beth, Kathy, and Ashley Freeberg, they when we met, had the same thing. So all 6 of you are outstanding teachers. We have approximately 900, okay, who's a math teacher? Beth. Okay, here it is. About 900 teachers in Finney County. 6 teachers are here tonight. What percentage are you? Like 0.067%. So it makes you very, very special, and it's exciting for the Chamber of Commerce to realize that it is that difficult. It is because you are such great teachers. So we thank you for coming tonight, but more importantly, we thank you for what you do for our kids. Thanks.
Well, I've been asked to kind of give a little bit of an overview of the process. And first off, it starts with just nominations by community members, students, parents, fellow staff members. And once those nominations have all come in, then applications are sent out to the teachers that were nominated. They put together an incredible amount of data to turn back in. And then there's a blind read by some of these committee members that Rick mentioned. And then from there, we get down to about 12 to 13 instructors, and then the interviews begin. Oh my gosh, it's tough. Okay, I'll speak from my side for just a moment. When I came through this process, they took us out to the Bronc Buster athletic room. That's an intimidating room when they turn all the lights off except for one above the table of these 5 people. And you're asked to walk in, and I walk in and I get up to the front and there's a chair there, and they said, you don't get to sit down. Which was fine with me. As a speech and debate coach, I wanted to be standing. And then the interview began, and I remember mine was about an hour. I was with that group of people. And they had a bunch of questions they had to get over with, get to me. Then the classroom observation, where a committee group comes in, unannounced, walks into your classroom and says, hi, we're from the Crystal Apple group. Go ahead. And you just kind of do your thing. And even in the middle of a tornado drill. Beth Tedrow up here, they had a tornado drill, right, Mr. Sadler? Yeah. In the middle of all that, so they really, come in, spend time with us, and then come out, and now it gets down to the process of who are our 3 people. Well, as you can see, this is a very meticulous process, and it does take dedication from community members who served on 3 different committees just to get us where we are tonight. I'd like to list these people, and would you please stand to be recognized if you're here this evening. Lee Barrett from State Farm Insurance. Joanne Booker from St. Catherine Hospital. Debbie Reynolds from Independent Contractor for Mosaic at Home. Angie Price, retired educator in both Holcomb and Garden City. Brenda Reeve from Reeve Cattle Company. Donna Tanner from Commerce Bank. Kathy Deal from American State Bank. Ashley Freeberg from the City of Garden City. And Beth Tedrow, retired educator at Garden City Community College. Please give these folks a round of applause. We would also like to recognize our chair of the Crystal Apple Committee for the 14th year, Mr. Roy Cessna. Roy? And also his cohort in crime here, if you will, Rick Tomachek, Chamber Vice President. We're now going to go to our introduction by video of our 6 finalists. And I would like the students from the Garden City High School broadcasting class who prepared special videos this evening honoring each teacher and their students to please rise. These memories were created by Crystal Arroyo, Raquel Garcia, Jacob Griffin, Beth Guyman, and Isaiah Ramos.
Hi, I'm Janet Hackett and I teach student leadership and anatomy physiology at Garden City High School. Why did I get into teaching? I kind of fought it for a while. My mom was in education, and so I was like, well, I don't want to do what my parents are doing or what my mom was doing. So I actually went into school for something different, and I was at an internship and I was working with students, and we did a lab on soil pH, and I just loved having the interaction with the kids and kind of that gratification. And so I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to go back to school for teaching, and so it kind of led me back to that and back to my roots of being a camp counselor and just kind of having those leadership qualities growing up and kind of being motherly, and so it kind of brought me back to who I am. Yeah, really good. I'll go back to black so you can see that. The most rewarding part of my job is definitely working with the students and kind of putting a smile on their face. Sometimes they're not always having the best of days, but if I can talk about how I'm going to give them happy points for doing an assignment together, or let's get this done so that we can move on to something exciting tomorrow, or anything that I can do to kind of brighten their day and hopefully make the learning a little bit more meaningful through the relationships that we've built, then I think that it's absolutely rewarding.
I've had Mrs. Hackett for 3 years. I've had her for student leadership and anatomy, and in both those classes she just puts in a lot more effort than any other teacher that I've ever had. She's always thinking of new ways, creative ways to teach us things. You don't just like sit down and take notes. Like, she'll make the notes and you can do fill-in notes, and she comes up with cool interactive things that you can do with clay, or she'll make food and you can make models and stuff. And I just think that she puts in a lot more time than any other teacher that I've had.
All of the different layers here, it's still simple, it's only one layer, but I'm really humbled by the nomination, and I've been kind of inspired by Dr. Jen Herdman getting it last year, and she's my lab partner, and so that was really exciting. And this year it's really nice to have another high school member to be nominated because we can share in the experience. But it has been, from telling my mom to telling my husband to telling my principal, it's just felt really, really good, and it feels like it's just nice to be appreciated, and I've really enjoyed being a part of the process so far. My name is Sarah Harris, and I teach 3rd grade at Victor Nellis. I got into teaching because I've always enjoyed working with kids, even through my elementary years, through my high school years, and I was able to be part of a release program at my high school that I went and worked in a classroom. And so during that time in the classroom, I felt inspired to go into teaching. I had finally found my calling. I was able to work with those 4th grade students for an hour every day instead of going to my last class at high school. And so that's really what inspired me, was getting into a classroom, seeing what the daily routine is like in a classroom, and I had found my calling.
Okay. Remember, mistakes are proof that we are learning. So if it's a mistake, it's okay.
I could be learning.
I think the most rewarding part of my job is seeing those light bulbs come on. So when you have a kid that's really struggling on a topic or really struggling to read, and they finally get it, it finally clicks, and so you see that, I got it, and so they get really excited about, I finally accomplished something that had been really hard for me.
When I first met Miss Harris, I saw an outgoing teacher that wanted to grow. She is now working on her administration degree, and she is always wanting to do what's best for students.
Did we write our sentence answer? No, but we know what to write because Emilio said it.
Miss Harris goes over and beyond to make sure children learn in her classroom. She's very innovative. She's trying new trends in her classroom to keep children active in learning, and she is trying the new iPad scenario with her students one-on-one with 3rd graders, and she is always looking for ways to encourage students to learn.
What did you get as your answer? What is the total length of the pieces of ribbon that Mabel cut?
It's really exciting. It's not something that I really thought I would even get. I had filled out the application once before, and that was as far as I got. And so now I just kind of beam a little bit every time, because that means that someone appreciates what I'm doing in my teaching.
I started teaching in the fall of 2008, officially here in Garden City, and I have been at Buffalo Jones ever since. I actually kind of got into teaching on accident. I went to Garden City High School, just like you girls do, and I started working after school for Project Effort, and I loved it, and that's just kind of what made me want to be a teacher. I was taking classes with the Family and Consumer Science Department, and I wanted to do like a bunch of design things, and that was my original plan, but it just turned out that I liked teaching a lot more.
When I first met Miss Morales, I was pretty excited. I was right away, she interviewed very well, and when she came into the building, I wanted her in my building. I knew that she would be a good teacher for our kids, and she's very bubbly and friendly, and those are all good attributes, seem very caring, and so those were the attributes that I was looking for. She really built those relationships with kids.
I think teachers like Patsy Fort and Pam Babb and Jessie Bernal, and those are all my high school people. They were my educators then, and they just really had a love for what they did, and that was inspiring. And then working with the Jenny Wilson staff, having them after school, like Marcia Crook and Donna Adams, all of those teachers, they kind of helped to fan that flame, since I didn't really think I was going into teaching, and it ended up being what I I'm doing now, and I love it.
Miss Morales is a good teacher because she knows how to work with students. She's very friendly, kind, and compassionate. She's also very patient, so she does not mind doing lessons directly to help the kids.
She's my favorite teacher because she's always nice to us, and she's a very good teacher because she helps us learn. She helps us make our answers. She helps us at math and teaches us better ways and easier strategies for math, writing, and phonics.
For the kids, 100%. I would not be here if it wasn't for them. They are what keep me pulling. They give me the biggest smiles, the biggest hugs, sometimes the biggest headaches, but they are who I'm here for. They're the ones that make it worth it.
I started teaching, or I taught my first classes when I was in graduate school at WSU, and I taught at Finney County, taught American History 1 and 2, and then didn't teach again for a while, and it took about 6 years after that before I went back to become a high school teacher, and I started out here in 2006. I was not happy working at Sedgwick County, and so literally my wife and my best friend set me down and said, you need to do this. You need to stop doing what you're doing, and you need to do something you're going to find is rewarding, and you're going to want to go to work every day.
What makes Mr. Sadler a good teacher is that he finds ways to make the content approachable for students. He finds ways to explain it in ways that they can understand, and he finds ways to get difficult content easier to handle for students.
Well, he's always there for you when you need him. Like, he's not just about the information. He'll make sure you're doing okay, and he's always really open about it. So he's like, you'll want to pay attention to him.
His ability to remember information mostly. He is great at pulling in outside information to help us understand the subjects better.
First impression of Mr. Sadler is that, once again, he's someone that gets it as far as dealing with students and making his class one that's interesting and relatable for students.
He's my favorite teacher because he cares about me, and he knows that I love history, and he makes it interesting for me, and I don't know, he's just a really good teacher.
I would consider him one of my favorite teachers, yes, because he's really interactive with his class, and he's not afraid to speak his mind, which in most cases is good considering what we learn about in history.
When you see the light bulb go off, when kids get it, when it's a complex, abstract concept and it just clicks and they're like, oh, or when they make those connections to larger historical events. It's a rewarding job. But more than that, I've been a lot of places, and growing up in Northwest Kansas, it's very similar to Southwest Kansas. And so I feel like I'm coming back to give back to where I came from.
Any day when you walk into Mrs. Strickland's classroom, you'll see a lot going on. There's a lot of technology in use, which the kids love. There's a lot of music. There's a lot of movement. They're first graders, so they're wiggly, and they need those kinds of things to keep them going and motivated, and she does an excellent job.
Believe it or not, when I was a senior in high school, my classmates voted me most likely to become a teacher, and I was like, oh no. I was planning on going into speech pathology, and so I went to Hayes and started in speech pathology. And as we went and we were observing, I noticed I was always observing the para. And so I finally sat down, I asked the speech pathologist, I said, well, how often do you meet with the kids? And she said twice a week. And it broke my heart because I knew right then and there that speech pathology is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to work with the kids.
I thought she was smart. I thought she was funny. I thought she really, really cared about kids. I was very glad to have her in my building. This is just my third year here, and she's been here longer than me, and so I was really glad to inherit a teacher like that in my building.
You know, I initially started with, oh, I want to, impact the world and make it a better place. And I continue to do this job because they make me a better person. They push me to boundaries that I didn't know I had. They really inspire me, and they've given me a new look on the world. I mean, they bring that innocence back to the world, and they are strong kiddos. We have a strong generation coming up.
Because she's nice and she lets us do fun activities.
I think Mrs. Shrimplin's greatest attribute is that she has a heart for kids. She really, really, really cares about them. She cares about their welfare. She cares about their education. She cares about whether they want to be good citizens in the world. She really, really has a heart for kids.
All the hugs and the smiles and the memories that I get to make with them. It's when kids come back several years down the road and they want to read you your favorite book. One that I had in kindergarten, we would do lunch dates together and we would read stories. And she was a second grader and she came back and she goes, "Mrs. Shrimplin, do you remember our lunch dates?" I was like, "Yeah." And she whipped out and she goes, "I remember this was your favorite book." And she sat down and we had our lunch date and she read me my favorite book and I was bawling. And it's so hard to explain to a second grader that, no, they're happy tears, they're happy tears. Those are the reasons why I continue teaching, is for those memories and relationships that we build.
My name is Dixie Teeter, and I'm a speech language pathologist.
Okay, these are my friends today.
I've always kind of wanted to help people, and early on in my life, my father was a teacher and coach, and so we lived up and grew up in the school system. And ever since I was little, I think I've always wanted to help kids or do something of helping. I taught swim lessons, I taught youth softball, I was a teacher's assistant all through high school and through college, and it's something that I think I have a passion for.
Post is on the house.
Hands down, it was the teachers and coaches that I had growing up all through my childhood, and the different teachers that I've had have encouraged me and inspired me, I think, to become who I am. When I was fairly little, my dad passed away early, and if it weren't for all my teachers and coaches and the mentors that I've had along the way, I don't think I would be right here where I am today. So definitely working with kids is the best. And then my colleagues, it's amazing the amount of people that I've met and worked with across my whole 20 years of teaching. I have been all over the state in different areas, and I've met the most wonderful people in education and coaching. So kids, my colleagues, and then of course the parents have been amazing too. You just meet lots of new people, and seeing kids progress and learn to communicate is a big deal.
Oh. Yay! All right, good job today.
I think what makes her a good teacher is just the fact that she really does care about kids, and that's evident with the time that she puts in, the relationship she builds with her staff members, with her parents. She really does go above and beyond what a typical teacher would be expected to do to take care of her kids.
She said hi spontaneously today.
I think Dixie's deserving of the Crystal Apple just because of her work ethic, her passion for kids, the way that she interacts with her staff and with her parents. She works tirelessly. I mean, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find another staff member that puts in the hours that she does for her kiddos. And she's constantly running, going 110 miles an hour, and truly does that because she cares about her kids and wants them to be successful.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's just an honor to be recognized by other people, and you know, you want to work hard and you want to do your best, and you want to believe that you're helping students and parents, and so when someone nominates you, it makes you feel good, and it makes you want to keep doing what you're doing, I guess, and hopefully that I can, and just it's really super encouraging.
Boy, those are some nice videos, weren't they? Well, now we're going to kind of get to the serious part where we get to listen to some principals say a few words. As I read your name, I would like to invite the principals representing our teachers. And principals, I would like for you also to escort your candidate with you up here to the front. Each principal will then introduce from their school their Crystal Apple teacher finalists. I'd like to begin with Mr. Ryan Ming. Mr. Ming is the Health and Trade Academy principal at Garden City High School.
I am Ryan Ming. I am the associate principal in charge of the Trade and Health Academy at Garden City High School. I am very excited to welcome Ms. Janet Hackett up here. She is a science teacher in our academy. She's Stuco sponsor, cross country coach, prom sponsor, Green Club sponsor, etc. She does a lot of things for us. On behalf of our academy and the staff and students all over the school, we welcome you and we're proud of you.
Next, we have Tracy Leiper, Victor and Alice Elementary School principal.
Good evening, I'm Tracy Leiper, the principal at Victor and Alice Elementary School, and I am pleased to introduce Sarah Harris. She teaches 3rd grade at our school. She's been there for 6 years, and we are so proud to introduce her as a 2017 Crystal Apple finalist.
Next, we have Rafaela Solis from Buffalo Jones Elementary School.
I'm Rafaela Solis, and I'm principal of Buffalo Jones Elementary. And I'm very proud to introduce Julia Morales to the Crystal Apple. She is one of the 6 Crystal Apple from Buffalo Jones, and so it's expected that she's going to be one of the winners. Julia has taught in 1st grade. She has also moved to 3rd grade, and it is now doing 2nd and 3rd grade loop for the past 4 years actually, and it's been awesome just watching her develop relationships with her kids and her families. And so I'm honored, and so is our staff and our students, to see the representation in our community out. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
I always have to draw this thing.
Sorry. Okay. And Mr. Ryan Ming from the Health and Trade Academy, principal at Garden City High School. Mr. Ming.
so lucky I get to do this again. Drew, this is Mr. Drew Sadler. He is a social studies teacher in our academy, Clay Target team sponsor, teacher, mentor, department leader, avid leader, Socratic seminar, guru, etc. On behalf of the staff and students in our academy and the whole school, we're really proud of you.
Next, Christy Botts, principal at Edith Sharman Elementary School.
Good evening. My name is Christy Botts, and I'm the principal at Edith Sharman Elementary School. And I have the great pleasure to introduce Mrs. Sarah Shrimpling. Sarah is a Garden City High School graduate, has a bachelor's from K-State and a master's from Fort Hays State. She's taught 9 years for Garden City in kindergarten and first grade, and she's also the sponsor of our community service club. Met on Thursday night tonight. She was there before she came here. Please join our staff and students in wishing her the best of luck in the 2017 Crystal Apple finalist competition.
And Mr. Josh Guyman from Garfield Early Childhood Center, principal.
I'm Josh Guyman. I'm principal at Garfield Early Childhood Center. I'm here to introduce Dixie Teeter. I promised her that I wouldn't roast her when I introduced her tonight, and that I would be nice, so I will keep to my word for tonight, Dixie. We're super proud of Dixie. She is outstanding and very well deserving of this honor. Dixie's a speech pathologist not only at Garfield, but also at Victor and Ellis, and she serves all of the Head Start locations here in the community as well. So please welcome me and congratulating Dixie.
Well, the time is finally here for us to announce the 2017 Crystal Apple recipients. We will have 2 separate awards presentations. The first presentation will be the announcement of the 3 Crystal Apple finalists. And then our second presentation will recognize the 3 Crystal Apple teachers for 2017. I would like to ask Sharon Bowman from the Garden City Telegram to step forward to present a $250 check to each of the 3 finalists. I would also like frame certificates will also be presented by Allie Conine of Wheatland Broadband. Okay. Well, our 3 Crystal Apple finalists. First, Janet Hackett from Garden City High School. Our second Crystal Apple finalist, Sarah Harris from Victor. And our third finalist, Dixie Teeter from Victor, Dallas. These three teachers represent the principles and dedication this award is meant to display. Well, now we have our three winners, I guess. I'd like to ask our presenters.
Winners, not winners. They didn't win anything. They earned it.
They earned it. Well, let's bring some people up to help present some awards. First off, Laura Boers from Boers Law will present each with a crystal apple. Second, Kirby Haynes from Cox Communications will present each award winner with an Apple iPad. And $1,000 checks will be given by Dennis Rohrbaugh of Black Hills Energy, Dr. William Clifford from Fry Eye Associates, and Dr. Timothy Hannigan of High Plains Orthodontics. Would y'all please come forward? And thank you. Also, framed certificates will be presented by Cecil Overate, representing the Clarionian. These three teachers have gone through an exhaustive process to earn the distinction of being a 2017 Crystal Apple teacher. First, Julia Morales from Buffalo Jones Elementary. Secondly, Mr. Drew Sadler from Garden City High School. And Sarah Shrimplin from Edith Sharman Elementary. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 2017 Crystal Apple Award winners. And now the hard part. Each Crystal Apple teacher will now be asked to provide a brief acceptance speech. Julia?
Say your name.
Little soft Okay, I think there's a trend at Buffalo Jones. Well,
want to say thank you. It is such a tremendous honor to be here this evening, and this journey has been an exciting one. It's been nerve-wracking, emotional, and at times stressful. But from the very start of this process, there's been a phrase that's played over and over in my mind, and that is riding on the shoulders of giants. I first heard this phrase back in college because it was commonly used in my scholarship program. And while I'm humbled and beyond grateful, this victory is not mine alone. I would not, and I could not be here with you this evening if it weren't for those giants who've helped me along the way. First and foremost, I want to praise God, because He knew the plan for my life before I did. It might come as a surprise to some of you that I had no earthly desire to be a teacher, and it was on the list of careers that I didn't want. But it wasn't until I started working after school, my junior year, at Jenny Wilson, that the unthinkable happened. I fell in love, and realizing this, I did what any other 16-year-old girl who swore off teaching would do. I freaked out. I tried so hard to ignore this call by pushing it back further and further into my mind, because somehow I had this sense that teaching was a great responsibility, and it was one that I didn't feel equipped to handle. But running away and suppressing that thought didn't work. And eventually there was no escaping this growing call to this profession. And God was faithful even before I knew Him, because He provided the means for me to go to Kansas State University, go K-State, as a Besito Scholarship recipient. They not only paid for my tuition and fees, but they served as a cohort group to help students like myself, first-generation college students, to acclimate and navigate university life. Secondly, I want to thank my family. I want to thank the giants that I never met, the ones who took risks to give my lineage a different opportunity and future. I want to thank my parents for supporting me and loving me unconditionally. My mother, I wouldn't be half the woman I am today if it wasn't for you. You showed me that I wasn't meant to fit a mold. I was meant to break it. And it didn't matter what I looked like. And it didn't matter because you taught me that I was smart and I was beautiful and most of all able. You wiped away tears. I need a tissue. I didn't plan that. And you never let me give up on myself or my dreams. My sisters, you have not only been pains in my side, but you've grown up to be some of my best friends. And I want to say thank you for helping me countless times. I know I roped you into and dragged you into my classroom to help me do bulletin boards and to help me set up for the year and come to class parties to help pass out snacks and serve. And I know it was really hard when I went away to school, but I was trying to be one of those giants for you. And I'm so proud of you, and I'm very proud to be your sister. And there are so many other giants that I want to thank. I want to thank teachers throughout academia that encouraged me and loved me. I want to thank you to my Buffalo Jones family, because iron sharpens iron, and you inspire me and you influence me to be better. And I love you all. Thank you to Mrs. Rafaela Solis for seeing my potential and choosing me 10 years ago. And the outpouring of messages and words of encouragement and prayers will mean more than you will ever know. I'd also like to thank the Chamber, the donors, and their sponsors for taking your time and supporting local educators. And lastly, but certainly not least, I want to thank the students and their families, because you're the core and the reason I go to work every day. You've taught me some of the greatest lessons throughout these 10 years. Thank you, because I'm not a mother to my own children, but each student is imprinted on my heart as one of my own kids. You've taught me patience, selflessness, made me more understanding, and overall a better person and a teacher. My hope is that you take each of your God-given talents and gifts and use them to make an impact on this world. May giants continue to pave the way for you and guide you so that one day you will be the giants paving the way for others.
Drew Sadler.
Normally I'm not speechless. I can lecture for hours on end. I love lecturing. I love telling stories. And so when I was told you may need a speech, I kind of took it with a certain grain of levity. And then I decided to listen to A, my wife, and B, my elders. And so I tried to prepare at least a little something. Charity, thank you, give me the best advice, and you usually always do. She recommended that I just do the speech like I do lecture. I don't think you want to be here that long. Then I went to my students, and I asked my classes. I said, if I win this, and they all kind of chuckled, and they said, okay, Mr. Sadler, when you win this. I said, well, what should I say? They said, please don't lecture to your audience. They said, you should probably not talk about your love of coffee and how much you have it. You should probably also not talk about how you should write, like you tell us every day that we need to learn to do better. And so I won't lecture about those things. And they gave me a host of other ideas, most of which are not appropriate here. So, go on. First, I'd like to thank the committees. It was an entertaining experience, a stressful experience, and an educational experience. A half day, a tornado drill, it was my stress level was through the roof. There are some other people I need to thank in the audience as well. First off, Ms. Scott. I know you don't like lecture, and I thank you for pushing me. I don't always agree with you, but I thank you and I respect you for making me become a better teacher and taking on those challenges that I was a little bit afraid to. So, Mr. Norby, I'd like to thank you as well. I've had 2 of your children in class. It is an honor to teach them, and it's an honor that you let me teach in your school. And then Mr. Ming, your support is amazing, and I couldn't have been here without you. So to those administrators, thank you. Our school is amazing. I don't want to brag about Garden City High School, but we have really good, no, we don't have it really good. We have the best high school. Our kids, when I go to conferences, I'm tired of hearing people say, oh, you teach in Garden City. You teach those kids? What kids? The hormonal teenagers? The ones that don't have a clue? Yes, like every other teenager in the state, I teach those kids. And we're oftentimes, in Western Kansas, our kids are looked down upon because we're from the Western Kansas. I grew up as a 5th generation farm kid. I've been around the world. I know we're just as good. We have just as good people here, just as smart kids. And I want to make sure our kids, when they leave here, take that and have the confidence to go other places and to do the best they can. To my peers, Janet, I could have made it through this without you. You've been amazing, along with many other, Wendy and my academy. Without them, without having sounding boards, to be able to walk into another teacher's classroom and go, oh my gosh, I got this idea, what do you think? And for them to go, that's kind of cool, but is it going to work? I don't know. And then they sit down and help me figure it out. Teaching is a hard profession. You have to have a passion for it. And without that passion, and without the peers that I have, it would be a very lonely place. Even though you're surrounded by people and children every day, without those individuals, it would be much less rewarding than it is. And finally, I need to thank my students. There was what keeps me coming back. even though, like you said, they're the biggest headache. And the ones that give you the biggest headache are the ones that show up in your class again and again. And then when they graduate, then they come back again and again. And then they show up and they want to sit after they've turned 21 and have a beer and tell you all about college again. But they make something of themselves, which is what I want. And it's why I'm hard on them. I tell my students, I know where I failed in school, and this is why I'm hard on you here. So to them, there is a method to my madness. Sometimes it takes till they graduate to understand that, but there is. And finally, I need to thank my family, my parents, my mother-in-law, and most especially my wife. Without them, I wouldn't. So, thank you.
You know, I got, okay. Former student coming up. Miss Sarah Shrimp.
Oh, wow. I could do first graders all around, picking those gems off your toes that you just got pedicured. You guys make me nervous. I'm just overwhelmed with emotions and honored and blessed to be awarded something that I just simply love to do. I mean, this is for the children. Thank you to my husband, Chris. Thank you for making my kids your kids. Thank you for building bat caves in Antarctica and bookshelves. Thank you for all the hours you've spent helping me become the teacher I am. Thank you to my parents. Bet you never thought after playing funeral home that I would actually be a teacher and make something here. Thank you. Just thank you to my grandparents and my sisters and just all the previous teachers I've had, just for your support and your love. And thank you to my crazy Ida Sharman family. Oh, come, you guys have 2 tables. They have helped keep me sane through this process. You're right, it is an overwhelming journey to go through, and just thank you for letting me come into your classroom and throw around ideas and being there for my kids. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and the school board members and all of you to your dedication to educators and our kids. And most importantly, I just want to thank God and praise His glorious name, because year after year He has blessed me with remarkable kids, and He has given me the honor to teach them year after year. And so I'm excited to take this to my first graders. And without them, there'd be a little less glitter. No, there'd be a lot less glitter in my life. And they just completely fill my heart with joy. So thank you guys for spending your evening with us.
I think we heard it best in the videos this evening that were presented, that we heard 2 statements. We heard the words dedication, and we heard a calling. And I think if we'd ask any of the 6 that are here tonight, any of the 13 that made the semifinals, any teacher you walk into a room at Garden City High School, they can probably tell you exactly when that calling happened for them to do what we do in the field of education. I've been asked to remind the 6 finalists this evening to please hang around up here at the front for a lot of photographs. A lot of photographs. Tonight's event shines a spotlight on the very best educators in Finney County. These ladies and gentlemen bring dedication, enthusiasm, and professionalism to our classrooms each and every day. We hope your evening has been a most memorable one, and with just 1 week away from Thanksgiving, just 1 week away, I hope you all have a lot of things to be thankful for. We'd like to thank everyone for coming to our 22nd annual event, and I hope to see you back next year for number 23, and have a wonderful evening and a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.